Welcome to this episode of Beauty Business Matters, and this is, I know I always like to say my episodes are special, but this one is super special because I have someone who's become a great friend.
Oh, Susan.
Jaxon Feely, who needs no introduction really, but it's not that long really that we've known each other, is it? And then we ended up spending lots of time because you came over to Malta to spend time at the business boot camp that I have for beauty directors.
Yeah.
Everyone absolutely fell in love with you.
I think it's because they were so shocked, wondering who the hell this was for the first few days. I didn't fit the mould.
But it just made everything so special. And as I say, there's been some great friendships come out of it. And obviously, I've also heard you speak at the Big Festoon, but as well when you were over in Malta. I think as far as a speaker goes, there's not many people who can stop a whole audience where a pin will drop, and you just do that.
Oh, thank you.
Each time, and as well, not a dry eye as well. That's another thing as well. You got that knack of making people want to cry.
No, I'm only joking. It does mean a lot to me. Thank you,
Jaxon. I know there's so many different things that you're doing now, and I was going to give you all this sort of like TV, and just tell me a few things that you are known for and are involved with at the moment.
I think people probably know me for a variety of different things, but if you don't know me, I was a prison officer, transitioned gender whilst in that role, whilst working in a male prison, and started to try and build a platform to educate as many people as possible around the topic, around transitioning, both with gender and in life, and just try and inspire as many people as possible to live a life more true to themselves, whatever that might mean for them. That has sort of led me on to do various different things within the media, different aspects of speaking. Me and my sister won the recent series of Hunted, TV show Banged Up, lots of different things, lots of podcasts. But yeah, my main aim is to do as much speaking as possible and really become the number one voice in the UK for when it comes to authenticity and resilience. So that's really a big one for me. Yeah,
and I mean, you're doing it all beautifully, I must say.
I mean, I'm trying. We'll pretend my head's not falling off. But yeah, everyone who knows me is listening knows that actually you're on the verge of a nervous breakdown. But yeah, you're doing well, Jack.
Amongst the chaos, you shine anyway.
Just make it look like that.
So, obviously, I know your story. Do you want to just touch a little bit on your story and things? And I know then I really want as well to talk about confidence and sort of, and I know now you and I are starting to do some work. You're going to start and do some of help me with some of my socials and different things. So there's lots we're going to talk about, but I think your story is, it's just such an inspiring story of like you say, living your life. I think so many people try and please others rather than try and and genuinely be the person that they should be. And obviously you, as I say, your story, starting as well, obviously you ended up in the prison service and as you know, my husband's prison service kind of thing. But just starting back from sort of early days.
We had him crying in Malta too, didn't we?
Yeah, I know. Well, he cries at anything. I'll be sitting watching something on the telly and he'll be snivelling away. I think, what on earth? He's a big softie. Right, back to you, Jax. Back to a little bit about your journey, your story kind of thing, if that's okay.
Yeah. Where do you want me to start?
Oh, wherever you want.
I'll try and give you, obviously I'm aware of time, so I'll try and give you a condensed version, but obviously identified and was assigned female at birth. Spent 26 years as a woman named Jess. Joined the military when I was 19. Spent 4 years doing that, and then joined the prison service at 24, and served another 6 years. And what I realised I'd always done my entire life is try and fill this void, try and fill this feeling of feeling a little bit uncomfortable, feeling a little bit not quite right, dealing with anxiety and thinking I was just someone who worried a lot, who didn't really find a sense of belonging within my surroundings and within myself. And sort of came to the point at 26 where I started to come across transitioning and what that was, and realising that this was a thing, and quickly realised that was what I needed to do, and put it off for a long time because of, the fears and the dangers and the lack of knowledge and lack of understanding. But coming to a point at the age of 27 where I had always believed that you have to jump whenever that feels scary to do so, and I had to take my own advice in that sense. And when you reach a point of not wanting to live anymore, you obviously you have a question to answer. And I spent a long time, especially in the first 12 months, where every decision I made was, I'll do this or I die, so we're just going to do it and just see what happens, because the alternative is that. And so that's what I started to do. So obviously working in a male prison, they had known the female officer for 3 years, and I didn't want to give up that job, and I didn't want to give up my life, even though I was going through something that everyone around me was also affected by. And so that's why I believe so strongly in difficult conversations, and in having those with the people that you love, and having an understanding that whenever you're going through a transition in life, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you, whatever that transition is. And so I really tried to take everyone around me on that journey with me, and keep my level of understanding as open as possible, and keep having those conversations, however uncomfortable, until we got to a point where people can see now that this was the right decision, and actually we're all just human beings struggling with one thing or another. Yeah.
And did you find everyone was supportive? I mean, especially in a male prison.
Yeah.
Like sort of, you couldn't have found a harder environment to...
I know.
You don't
this is
do
what I do,
Susan.
Halves, this is what I do. This is why I can't sit in the peace. This is what I do. Yeah, if it's not hard, it doesn't feel safe to me. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was terrifying, and it wasn't something that I thought I would be able to do. Obviously coming out to my family in general was frightening, and they were terrified of, how are you going to work? How are you going to live? Is this the right decision? We don't know anything about this. What, the world is still a very dangerous place, if not getting more dangerous at the moment for trans people. And then obviously dropping the bomb that I was going back to a prison as well, that held a very big risk of obviously danger anyway, but then add a protected characteristic on that a lot of people don't understand and disagree with, left me a lot more vulnerable to, violence or sexual assault, or, groups of men trying to prove certain things. So I really believed that I had the ability to have those conversations in the right way. And I worked on it's called a psychological informed plan environment within a prison, and that catered for prisoners with elements of personality disorder, struggle to maintain their own emotions, manage relationships, deal with their own trauma. And so we did a lot of groups, to help those people and challenge those people to look in the mirror and do the difficult things and have the difficult conversations with themselves and us. When that came to like different behavioural therapies and different ways of understanding personality disorder and the psychology of us and how we behave and why we do it. And so I believed that I could have those conversations in a way that would help them understand that we are all just human beings. And even to my surprise, sitting down with those men and basically looking the same, just with a shaved head, and saying, I'm going to be Mr. Feely now. I look at that now and I think, how did you do that? But I did, and what I found was talking to them about being vulnerable, about being suicidal, about having to do this to continue living, they actually related to more than anything they'd heard before, because it not only proved to them that an officer was a human being, it also showed that, well, I feel like that too, and they have struggled with drug addiction or self-harm, or being taught as a young child that if I behave bad, I receive love. If I behave good, I'm neglected. All these things, and adding these things up and adding these experiences up and realising that we're all just human beings and we are all struggling with one thing or another, and we are all transitioning through something and trying to adapt to the changes in our life that we're so terrified of, whether that's leaving prison or looking at our issues or losing a relationship or moving country, like whatever it is. We're all struggling with that all the time, and we all have to learn how to deal with that. And they couldn't look at me and say, well, no, I don't need to do the hard things, because they were watching me do it, and they were watching me in a position and a level of vulnerability that you would never put yourself in as an officer.
This episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Forest Salon Software. I'm especially delighted about this partnership because I've known CEO of Forest, Ronan Percival, for over 12 years, and he was also the first guest on this podcast. The Forest story began with a genuine love for the salon industry, and their passion for helping businesses thrive is what makes them such a great synergy and such a great fit for this show. They bring so much energy and enthusiasm to helping and supporting salons. And as part of this partnership, they are offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. It's a huge 50% off Forest Salon Software for the first 6 months. It's an incredible saving, especially in today's climate, and a great way for your business to stay focused and strong for 2025 and beyond. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, simply check out the sign-up link in the show notes, and be sure to mention the podcast when you speak to their fantastic team. And thanks to Forest Software, and now back to our incredible episode. Yeah, totally.
And so the reaction to it was really, really powerful, and taking them on that journey for the next sort of 3 years had a massive impact, and one that I'm really proud of.
Yeah. And did you find everyone in the prison was supportive? Or...
No.
I was going to say.
No. It definitely, it carries certain opinions, and some people really just did not get it. It makes some people angry. Some people just want to, in prison anyway, that people, if a prisoner doesn't like you, or you disagree, or you challenge them and they want to fight back and they want to hit a weakness, that's what they're going to do. They're going to target a weakness. Mm-hmm. So, whether that's, calling someone fat, slag, some derogatory term that they can find that associates with you being a woman, or you being gay, or you being trans, or you being whatever, they're going to attack that. But that was a minority, because even if I had a disagreement with the prisoner, or we end up restraining them or having a fight or whatever it was, they would come up to me later on and be like, it weren't because of the trans thing though. Because they had a level of respect of that you're going through that. Yeah. And you're still coming to work and I'm going through this, but we disagreed over that.
Yeah.
And that was, that's brilliant. That's what we're falling out over. That's what we're disagreeing on. That's what we're resolving. But it weren't because of you being trans. I just want you to know that.
Yeah.
And that, I think that was something that really struck me, because it was just a level of respect of like, well, if you can go through all that and still come into work and help me with my shit. Sorry, can I swear on here?
Yeah, you can swear.
Then I can look at myself and I can try and, deal with this addiction or this trauma or this thing and stop hiding behind it.
Yeah. But as employers kind of thing, because, say it's probably something that the prison service hasn't come across from a staff member?
Yeah,
or
100%. Yeah.
Did they know how to handle?
No. No.
But I think that would be, obviously
It's still-
not just the prison service. I think things have to change in general, don't they? Kind of thing,
Yeah.
because it's sort of. It shouldn't be something that's out of the blue, like, oh my God, how do we handle this? Kind of thing.
Yeah. And they've just, the prison that I was at, they had never had an employee who has or was going through that. And, I sort of made them aware of it and said I wanted to come back, and they were brilliant. They sort of really just allowed me to try and navigate what to do and how that was safe. And like initially I went back and I just wanted to hide on night shifts, but then I did like a week and I was like, no, I'm going back, I'm going being the officer I want to be. But they just really helped me navigate that, and I think it worked because I also tried to make sure that they knew it was okay to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And they had known Jess and Miss Feely for 3 years, and so it's a transition for them too. They don't know how to navigate this, and neither do I. And so if we learn together, and I wanted everyone to feel safe around me, that they could ask me anything or they could be normal, because, I had like a nurse call me Miss by accident and burst out crying. Panic, like, oh, I'm going to get sacked, I'm going to get in trouble, and I didn't want that. Like, I was still Feely, I was still me, and I wanted to still be able to have a laugh and do my job and be around my friends, and I didn't want people tiptoeing around me, because that makes me nervous, which makes them nervous, which is just it's not natural, and I didn't want that. And what they said to me, going forward was, I feel safe around you, like I can feel like I can ask you, or I can make a mistake and we just move on. And because I didn't take offense from anything, because I knew it wasn't malicious. And I think that is something that really helped in terms of staff and the governors and that whole sort of body of people, because they felt like they could talk about this with me, and it weren't. Yeah,
because that's great, isn't it? Because I think the thing is, when something's out of someone's comfort zone, the fear is that, like, someone will be like, well, we'll just not talk about it, kind of thing.
And that's not me. I'm like, no.
And fear of like saying something wrong from both. You know what I mean? It
just makes everyone like on edge. And I thought, I'm not got time for this. Like, I just want to have a laugh. Like, and I just want to be normal. So yeah.
So what made you leave the prison service then?
Not through lack of love of the job. I loved the job, and it saved my life going back. And built a level of resilience now that I'm really grateful for. I think I just got to the point where in the prison that I was in, there's a lot of information out there about me now. As I was trying to put my life on social media, my life was going on TV, my life was going on all these things. It's very easy for prisoners to access the information about me, and potentially sort of, there's a possibility that someone could try and use that against me, or, corrupt or bribe me in some way to, about my family or whatever. And I just didn't want to put them in that situation, didn't want to put myself in that situation. And obviously, they'd watched me go through all of these things. So although there were people who really understood and would never do that, there was new people coming in and different things, and it just got to a point where I was like, I feel like it's time that I either stop everything I'm doing and just stay being a prison officer, or I give this a go and see what I can make of it, in sort of putting my life out there and trying to build this platform within the media and become as known as possible for a positive representation of authenticity. So yeah, it wasn't through lack of love for the job. I miss it.
But you've gone from like that routine, isn't it, kind of thing. It's like, I suppose it's a little bit like, I can always remember when I first stepped out of like my business kind of thing. It's something you've known for years, kind of thing.
It's
that
another
routine
it's another transition.
And
like,
then
it's another element of. I think when we go through any sort of transition, like for me, it's been coming out of the military, or obviously changing gender, coming out of the prison service and adapting to this new sort of self-employed chaos of all of those things carry an element of grief, and carry an element of you have to lose a part of you. to make room for the new.
Yeah.
And that is incredibly difficult. And it's definitely something that I had to go through in terms of, you know, losing a part of Jess to become Jax, you know, losing the identity I'd built as, you know, an ex-military rugby playing gay woman to become Jax, who I am now. You know, losing being a prison officer, losing the element of what a uniform makes me feel, routine, you know, things that are good for your mental health, like, you know, all these things you and I am still grieving and processing it, and it does sort of take a toll.
Yeah. So did you find that quite easy, going from sort of like the routine?
No. Susan, I'm still struggling now. And I'm 18 months down the line, and I still don't know how to plan my own day. So whether that's just me, or whether I've got ADHD, or whether I'm just losing the plot, I don't know. But yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not easy.
So when you first came out the prison service, is that when you went straight into like the likes of Hunted and all that kind of thing? Or
no, I did it all whilst I was still a prison officer.
Oh, right.
So right. I started transitioning from about 6 months in. I started documenting my journey on social media and doing these things, and I just started to do more and more. I did Hunted whilst I was a prison officer. Just took 3 weeks leave, but it only came out like 2 years later.
Yeah.
I did Banged Up while I was still a prison officer. I did so many like podcasts and I was just trying to build something, and then it just got to a point where I had to go either way.
Yeah.
So I was still a prison officer while I was doing all those things.
With like the likes of Hunted, could you talk about it then, or did they just think you'd taken 3 weeks off and disappeared?
Yeah, just taking 3 weeks off. Yeah. No. When I got back, I was like, this is what I've done. But then obviously we all had to wait 2 years to watch it, so I had to just put it to the back of my head.
So you wouldn't be able to say that you'd won or anything?
No, couldn't say anything. I don't know how my mum kept the secret for 2 years.
Oh my word, that's amazing.
I know, but it came out eventually.
But then there's quite a few different things that you've done with TV, and I can remember watching, this is before I actually met you, where you were on This Morning, or Breakfast Television anyway, like talking about like sort of, you've been working with some soaps and things like that.
Yeah.
That must be quite interesting work.
Yeah, I mean it's all, I find it all fascinating. You know, I love sort of the bits that I've done in terms of TV. I find it really interesting, and obviously I love a new challenge. But I was working with Emmerdale for two reasons, because they had a storyline where the person was trans and the person was going to prison. And so I kind of had experience in both, and then like sort of dealing with those dangers and elements of that. And so just, you know, soaps have a massive impact on society and how people see things, and the storylines that they create educate so much more than people realise. And so to be a part of that was really, like, you know, really important to me, and just part of whatever this is that I'm trying to build, in hopes that it's a good reputation and a good representation for being authentic.
Yeah. Obviously, at the same time, you've been building like a huge social media following as well. Kind of.
I mean, it's definitely not huge.
It's huge. It's huge compared to mine.
It's definitely not huge. But yeah, maybe one day, we'll see. Just gotta keep building.
So which elements do you love the best of all the different things that you're doing now? Is it the speaking side, or what is it that what really lights you up, kind of thing?
I think the speaking lights me up. Speaking really lights me up. And I think people say that to me afterwards. Like, you know, at the Big Festoon, for example, the response to that was something I'd never experienced, you know. Because it was a huge audience as well. You know, the response from it has been amazing, and the things that it's made people feel, I feel really proud of, because I feel like I've spent the last sort of 4 years practicing and perfecting the way to tell this story in a way that inspires other people to make change and take charge of their own life, and, you know, have that brave day, have that brave conversation, have that brave moment that can change the trajectory of your life. And so that, you know, I was quite nervous actually before the Big Festoon, because I understood the impact that it could have, and I wanted every second to have that impact, and that is something that really lights me up, because I have worked so hard in perfecting the way that I get this message across in the most powerful way possible, and I love doing that, you know. And the Big Festoon was such an amazing room to speak to. Don't get me wrong, like I've spoke to rooms where there's men who literally can't look at me because they are so offended, or, you know, by whatever, you know, trans masculinity, whatever it is. And so that was an amazing room to speak to, and to speak to big rooms like that of minds that, you know, are open to growth and personal development and how we can be better. That is magic. Yeah. I love that, and I would love to speak on the biggest stages possible to do that, because I believe that if it can change, well, you know, you heard me, one voice can change the world. So I want to do that more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you were last on over the
I know,
2
it was
days.
a long 2 days. I was like, I'm sure people are going to be asleep or at home by the time that I come on this stage, but we'll see.
And I know you were like, I don't know whether people will stay or anything. I knew not one person was going to actually ever leave. And I mean, it was so powerful, because obviously I'd heard your story when we were over in Malta. And I don't know whether it's just
here. It was a lot more chilled. And longer.
And it was just the way, like, you structure how you tell that your personal story. It's just amazing. Like, as in, like, anyone who gets a chance to listen to you talk like that is
love you, Susan.
You know what the Big Festoon's like, and then hats off to Danny. You know, that is like such an amazing event. And again, if anyone, like, it's something I think everyone should
100%,
go to, because it's a business event mixed with like all sorts of different elements. But I think and as well, I think most event organisers can learn a heck of a lot from how that event is structured to make it so inclusive and diverse, and like, and it just safe. And safe, welcoming. I've never, like, I was there last year and fell in love with the event, and obviously I would never miss it again. But there's not many events like that, is there? And I mean, I noticed the huge difference. You must see a huge difference in different events when you're, like, saying you're going to speak at different events all over the place. Yeah, they can't all be thinking the way they should be.
Yeah, and that's why I want to do it. You know, sometimes it is not nice to do it, to do those talks and do those things, but if one person in that room changes, then we've created that ripple effect. Who, you know, when you hit someone's emotion, they take that home and they tell someone else, and they tell someone else, and that's how it builds, and that's how we create change as a society. So as much as it's uncomfortable, I'm drawn to the hard things. So
you just like a challenge, don't you, Jax?
So that's what we'll keep doing. But no, definitely.
But I mean, the thing is that, going back to the Big Festoon, it's not even just about, like, sort of like covering all, like, you know, even just things like having a ramp on the stage. Yeah. You know, I go to a lot of events, like simple things like that aren't even done, you know, and that's just...
And until it's affected someone's life, they don't think about it. Yeah. And a lot of the time it is just unintentional ignorance. Exactly. Because, you know, it hasn't affected me, so that's not clocked in my brain to think that needs to happen. Yeah. And like a lot can be learnt from the Big Festoon.
Yeah, as I say, it's just it's grown and grown and grown, isn't it, as an event? I absolutely love it. Can we just go back to social media? Because obviously, you know, putting yourself out there, like, has that been scary, or has it been a gradual journey, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a scary thing, because you know, you are putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. But at the same time, I suppose once you've had those conversations with prisoners, nothing else really affects you. Once you've had the shit thrown at you from them, keyboard warriors don't really make you flinch. But I think, it's about wanting and believing in what you're doing more than the pain and the fear of that rejection and that judgment. And you're doing it for you. Like, I always talk to people now about social media. You're doing it for you. Like, Instagram and social media for me has been a journal for the last 4 years since I started transitioning, and I am so glad I did it, because I can look back and I can see so many versions of me, and look back and see what I've learned, or see how far I've come when I need to see it, and learn so much from everything that I've been through and what's got me there. In terms of your own self-development, and doing social media is one of the biggest personal development journeys ever, because it doesn't batter, but your self-worth takes that battering, but it makes you stronger every time at the same time, if you can stick with it, because you learn so much about yourself, and you learn that you learn about the build-up of small habits, and the build-up of consistency, and the build-up of building that library of content that you can then look back on and go, wow. And it's the compound effect that is the good and the positive from it. It's not the instant gratification or not from one post. And I think people mistake the fact that, I've done this for 3 weeks and nothing's happened. Well, you go to university for 9 years to become a vet, so you have to put a bit of, you have to put that time in. And I think that's what gets lost. I think if you can keep at it, it is incredibly rewarding, but you do it for you.
I think most people, it's the fear of like putting yourself out there, isn't it, kind of thing. And that's why I was just asking you that, because, it's like, it's, everyone thinks that everyone's going to see every post and things, which like it just doesn't happen like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like, the algorithm is you. So like whatever you're searching, whatever your last 5 searches was, it's just going to keep, sending you to those pages. And it's when we talk about, confidence and worrying about people's opinions, if someone has something to say, they're not really someone you want in your life. A lot of the time, I get hate all the time. Like, people must tell me I should have killed myself every day on TikTok. But I know that I'm more than likely just holding a mirror up to that person. They might not be trans, but they're not acknowledging something. They're not doing something. Like, more often than not, you are showing someone what they could have but didn't do. Or what they've been too afraid to do. Because no one above you or who loves you will ever put you down. It only comes from below.
Yeah, that's very, very true, isn't it? The thing is that I always think as well on social media that, someone's just hiding behind, they probably would never say something to that person's face, but it's just a cowardly way of doing things, isn't it?
There's one man on my Facebook who comments on every single Facebook post and just puts, "Not a man though." Are you that bored? I don't need to argue with you. Like, if that's how you feel, okay. I'm happier than I've ever been in myself. So, that's what matters. And I think you have to do the work on you and know who you are and know your soul, because I can appreciate and love and be so grateful for all the positive comments, but they don't affect who I am. Because if I let them in, I would have to let the bad in. So anything that I read, it can be hate, it can be love. It doesn't affect who I am in that moment. My self-worth doesn't depend on it. So my self-worth doesn't get battered with the hate, but I don't get a big ego with the positive. I know who I am, and that doesn't go in. And so I can ignore or appreciate, but it doesn't affect who I am.
Do you still read though? Like, sort of when you're saying you can ignore, do you...
I mean, I still see it. Some of them make me laugh. Some of them really make me laugh.
It's quite sad, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but some people come up with really great,
they really put effort into it.
Yeah, like someone called me zipper tits the other day. And I was like, that's funny. Funny, I'm laughing at them thinking, well done for creativity. like it's not a good joke, but well done.
Exactly.
For coming at me with something different. But
you just like,
like I had
thinking?
I had a proper shit sandwich the other day. Someone put, you look great, should probably get your ears pinned back. You're really inspirational. It's like, who does that? Like, that is a shit sandwich if ever I've known one. Like, fantastic, pin your ears back, but you're really inspirational. Like,
2 out of 3 though.
Yeah. And so the thing is, and what I learned, especially in the prison, is if you can allow yourself and those closest to you to take the piss out of your biggest insecurities, no one in this world can touch you.
Yeah.
Like, I was shouting at prisoners while my voice was dropping and hitting the roof, and and I'm laughing at myself because it's funny. Like, my voice goes really high now. It went high on stage at Big Festoon, and I looked at my sister and I went, "You always laugh at that." Because, and if I can do that, you can't touch me. Like, no one can come at me because I'm already laughing at it.
Yeah.
So, if you can work on you and laugh at you, then nothing in this world can touch you.
Oh my word. Yeah. So what are your next plans? What are you...
Christ, that's a big question, Susan. We've just had a therapy session.
I know. We've just been sitting...
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing next. I don't know. I want to write a book.
Yeah, that's going to be so inspirational.
I've been waiting to write a book because I've wanted to build my audience bigger, because I want it to impact as many people as possible. But whether it's time for me to just do it and maybe help me reach more people, I don't know. Obviously I want to speak on more stages. But yeah, I want to be regularly on screen in terms of mainstream media. I want to be that positive representation. I want to be visible, to remind those people that your life is worth living, for anyone who sees me, and know that you can do anything you want, regardless of how you feel, who you are, who you love. Yeah. That is the big, and always has been the big aim. And that includes, Strictly. Things that I'd love to do, that's the big aim. But right now I'm just working on keeping going and keeping myself sane in the process and trying to look after that. I think I'm very much in a period of the messy middle at the minute and feeling a bit lost in that.
Yeah, I think you have to go through that though, don't you?
Yeah, just this a lonely chapter, I suppose. When your life's been so filled with chaos and danger and crisis, normal life can feel very lonely and boring and quiet. Yeah. And I struggle to sit in that peace. Yeah. But it's probably what I need, so I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to sit through it.
Yeah, but we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? Because obviously during lockdown, you were working.
Well, we just worked more in prisons.
Yeah, in the prisons, like it was full on. Yeah. And I was like saying to you, so does this feel a little bit like a lockdown kind of thing, where like now you can like just take a breath, but like it's like, right, so what do I do today kind of thing? Yeah,
it gives me anxiety just talking about it. I think that's it. I think it's the peace that I've needed, but I don't know how to sit in it, and it makes me feel very unsafe. Yeah. For that reason, because I'm not used to it and I don't know how to handle it, and it makes me feel really uneasy. But yeah, we keep.
But I think that's like the insecurity, isn't it? Kind of thing of like, it's going from that structure of working and being there to like now, like there's like so many opportunities, but it's like
it's just sort of sitting in that uncertainty and figuring it out, and obviously we've all got to pay bills, which is why I do the content stuff.
Yeah, which is I love that idea, because the thing is that I've always loved everything you do, because it's just so natural. And I always like think, I wish mine was like that.
It's going to be like that, Susan.
Like that. I know.
It's going to be like that.
It is. We're going to be working
social
together.
Media is changing.
I know, and I cannot wait. And I just think that, like, I think there's so many people and entrepreneurs who feel like me. Yeah. Where it's going back to that fear of putting things out there and like and not getting it quite right and things and that, you know, and you just like think, what on earth am I thinking? But then having like the security of like having you guiding is kind of
thing. You think that will help you?
Yeah,
put it out there.
And I think that's, you know, I hope that it works really, really well, like for anyone that you're working with, because I just love all this, everything that you do, and it just comes across as so genuine and everything like that. So, you know, yeah, I'm probably getting in at the right time, because you're probably going to be so busy doing this.
We'll see. But yeah, no, I do love doing that more than anything, because it helps me help people with confidence, and that's kind of what I do anyway in terms of everything else I'm doing. So it helps me feel aligned in that way, because I love seeing people become more confident, and I know that social media can do that. And so that's what I love about it, and so that's why I'm excited to get you, you know, pretending that you're flying around on a broom in a salon.
When you said that, I was thinking, oh my God, is that really what you're going to do?
I'm joking, no. We might make one though for a laugh. I was thinking he's either drunken or thinks I'm a witch. No, I'm only joking. But no, it can be fun, and it can be easy, and it can be really simple, and we can put it across that does feel natural and feel like you. Because, you know, like I was saying in Malta, social media is like your CV now. You know, everyone you meet is going to ask for your Instagram instead of a business card. And so you want to be proud of that. You want to be able to say, this is my Instagram, or this is my social media, and be proud that person is going to look at it. Because a lot of people now who I meet will go, well, this is my Instagram, but, you know, it's really rubbish and don't look at it, and because it's panic, like, but before. I'm really good at what I do, but my Instagram's going to say otherwise. And, you know, we don't want that. You know, we want you to be proud of that, like feel like you're giving out your business card and feel proud of what you're doing, because especially people like you and all of these professionals and entrepreneurs and, you know, experts in the field, they have so much to give to the world that no one else can tell them. But they're afraid of putting themselves out there, and they're trying to get it perfect, and they're trying for the right time, and these things don't exist.
Yeah, again, it's like, it's all about getting your messaging right and things, isn't it? And I think, as I say, it's like, it's crazy that I think that's scary after like everything.
I know,
like,
because you lot have all the expertise. I'm just like, just do it. Just put a camera on you and just ignore it, you know, because you'll come out with all your best stuff then anyway, like whilst you're on a call, you know, film all your Zoom calls with your clients, because then you'll be able to clip a load of little gold moments that you've come out with. I know. And people just don't know to do that, and you can get so much content from it so quickly and so easily, and it can be really natural and really good stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait. And if it's all right with you as well, we'll put all of your details in like the show notes and things, because I know there's going to be lots and lots of other people who want to do the same, especially when they see mine looking good for once. Just out of all the like vast things that you do, what would you have done different? Anything? Or
no?
I love that.
Never regret. It's brought me exactly where I am today. And you know, things are scary, things are hard, but it's meant to be.
Yeah.
When the line goes flat, we're dead. So, you know, we keep going. The person, you know, that's why I feel so passionate about Jess and wanting to just bring her with me and give her a hug and thank her for not giving up, because that's why I'm here right now. And so every decision I've made and everything I've done has brought me right here. Yeah. And that means more to me than anything. Wow.
That is so inspiring. And like, you know what? The thing is that like...
Susan just glazed over again. And she's not even had a wine. She's not even had a wine. She's back in Susan land.
I know, that's all you kept saying. You just glazed over again.
I spent 2 days with Susan at the Big Festoon just looking at him, and she was just into Susan world the whole time with a glass of wine.
It's got to have bubbles
slightly bloodshot eyes. Happy as Larry.
I know, I just can't stay out with you lot though. That's the thing, you stay out far too late. Oh, Jax, this has just been amazing. And like, obviously you and I could sit and talk for hours and will. And I'm sure, like, I'm going to have you again as a guest.
Of course.
But I just...
Do it up north, for God's sake.
just need to move the studio. But I can't wait to be working closer with you. And as I say, I just love everything about you. It's brilliant. And I would, say anyone who wants to work with you, I just think getting quick.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you.
But thank you so much for travelling all the way here.
Thanks for having me. I love chatting to you.
But thanks.
And I managed like a good 45 minutes without taking the piss too much, so I'm doing all right.
I know.
Joe will be proud.
We'll get off air and it'll start. Brilliant. Thanks, Jax.
Thank you.